please join me in welcoming Mark Fitzpatrick, the CEO of SJP, to NextWealth Live. Mark, welcome.
Thank you.
Delighted to have you here. So we have 22 minutes, and we have a lot to cover. And I want to start talking about the transformation happening at SJP. You took over as CEO in December 2023. And in that time, I mentioned this to a couple of people over the last couple of weeks. I asked them what their perception was of the SJP share price since you'd taken over.
All right.
And I think people were surprised when I told them that it's more than doubled in that time. That's a pretty impressive result. You've turned around the company from annual losses of 9.9 million in 2023 to 500 million in profit in 2024. So I mean, that's an incredible transformation in a relatively short space of time. So I'm just interested to hear your thoughts on where you think the SJP business stands today. What more is there to be done? What do you put that turnaround down to?
Okay, well, it's great to be here, and good afternoon, everyone. The transformation of St. James's Place is still alive and kicking. There's still a lot of work to be done. When we announced the strategy in July 2024, we set out 4 key pillars we wanted to work on, and we're making meaningful progress on all of those. And I think with the evolution of technology, with just the size and scale of the market opportunity ahead of us, I think there's a lot more we can still do. What's been key along the journey, I think, is bringing in people who have a real good sense of what great looks like, so they can bring it alive to people inside the organization, and they can help us get there more quickly because they've been there before. So it's about unleashing the power of St. James's Place, the academy, the partnership, and the great asset gathering engine that is the business. And just to give everybody an example, last year, between net inflows and increases in FUM as a result of the great work the investment team have done, our FUM went up £30 billion in the year. It took us 20 years to gather 30 billion FUM when we first started, and yet we were able to increase that during the course of 1 year. So it's the power of scale as well is truly beginning to show. And I do think that this is going to become more of a scale game going forward, because the size of investment you'll need to make, whether it's in human capital, because at the end of the day, that is crucial, whether it's around the technology, whether it's around the infrastructure, et cetera, that you need, all of those components are going to be absolutely critical for the success going forward. So it's a very exciting time to be where I am. It's a very exciting time to be part of the profession and to look at what we collectively could make the profession, all of us together. And I think there's still a long, long way to go.
That's really interesting. And I'd be curious to hear how you describe the business, because one of the things that we've talked about a bit today is, so we talk about ourselves being in the wealth management industry. We had, and I appreciate you weren't here for some of the earlier sessions, but we had Simon Belsham from Hargreaves Lansdown, and he says we're in the business of confidence, giving people confidence in their futures and their finances. We talked about, what is it that customers are buying from us, and what we do is wealth management, but it's not necessarily what our customers are buying. And
So where did the conversation get to then?
Well, I think we're still exploring it. Yeah.
I'd put it down to one word.
Okay.
Trust. What we provide people is a trusted relationship. Trust, because once you've got trust, you can then build confidence. And then confidence to invest, confidence to engage, confidence to open up about your hopes, your fears, your aspirations. So to me, what we deliver and what we collectively operate on, and what the profession is based on, is trust. And as Warren Buffett said, it arrives on foot, and it can, adaptation of Buffett, and it can leave on a Ferrari. So it takes years to build, but it can be destroyed like that. So you've got to be so conscious in everything you do and how you do it to be able to continue to build trust. But for me, it's clear. It's one word I would boil it down to.
Yeah. Yeah, and we heard that, and we heard some interviews with end customers of financial advice earlier, and that theme definitely came up. This conference is all about growth, and I've mentioned already once earlier today that I believe I'm correct in saying that over half of new financial advisors into the market last year came from SJP. Were trained by SJP. You've long been, as a business, an important driver of growth. You've done a lot more marketing than some others to bring new clients into our industry. And I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts about growth, where that comes from, if you're still ambitious for I'm assuming you are.
So hugely. So I think the total addressable market is large, and I think is going to grow. So I think we have three main gaps. These will all be familiar to you. You have this massive savings gap, where 614 billion of excess cash is lying around in people's accounts. That's excess cash. Now, everybody needs cash in a portfolio, but that level of excess cash is concerning. We are the worst nation in the G7 for the rate of investing that we do. So there's a lot more we need to do around that component. The second one is the advice gap. You all know only 9% of adults take advice. The opportunity set there is enormous. And then the third gap is the retirement gap. And the fact that I think Scottish Widows did a report recently that indicated 39% of people who are about to retire are saving and investing for a retirement level that is going to be below a minimum lifestyle level. So the country is slow walking into a state of crisis unless we actively do something about it. So it's part of the narrative I'm trying to take to the regulator. It's part of the narrative I'm trying to take to the government in terms of making sure they're alive to this. I will continue my conversations with the Chancellor, trying to get her to leave pensions alone when it comes to the budget.
Hear, hear.
She has done so much damage to the pensions over the course of the last couple of years. Pensions matter. They matter to individuals. They matter to the economy. And if you keep tinkering with them at the individual level, you're going to have a knock-on damage for the economy. She gets that, but still sees it too much as I think is the magic money tree in terms of taxation. So really trying to get her to stop any speculation ahead of budget events going forward. So I think those elements are absolutely very, very important. As to the number of advisors, I think in the last 6 years, on average, the number of new advisors in this profession has grown by 0.4%. Now, when you've got a market size that is an addressable market that is measured in the trillions of pounds, why on earth are we only attracting such a small number in? And you are right, St. James's Place is carrying its share. We do, the last few years, we've done 52% of all new advisors to the profession. But there's a longer way to go. There's much more we collectively need to do. And if we're to behave as a profession, I think there's more we need to do in terms of how we behave, how we set our stall out, and how we demonstrate the value we can truly add. Because when it works, the stories each and every one of you will have in this room and know of where you or others have actually truly helped families in meaningful ways, are phenomenal. And actually, we need to bottle that, and we need to share that more widely across the market.
Yeah, and so one of the things that we've talked a little bit about today is that there's really a single client proposition. There's a single route to market, mainly referrals. There's a proposition typically based on a charging model of percentage of assets, and so to reach that addressable market, do you think different models of advice are needed to reach beyond the 9%, or is it just getting that story out about what it is that we do?
So I think a huge number of people do not understand what we do.
Yeah.
And given the size of the opportunity and how few advisors there are in the market, rushing to be a lowest cost provider, I think, is a route to madness. The cost, the infrastructure, the money that is required to spend to build the systems, the infrastructure, the support, the technology, the change of rules, this isn't a rush to the bottom. I think we'll collectively be mad if we destroy our profession that way. What I do think is really important is helping people understand the relevance. So the acronym I use is RUT, R-U-T. People don't understand how advice is relevant to them. They don't understand what advice is and how it can help them. And then on the timing, they think it's either too early for them or they've left it too late to be relevant. Now, all the research that everybody will have seen that we've done as well is it's not the cost of advice that puts people off, by and large. What do people truly value? They value the relationship. They value the trusted longevity, the connectivity with another human, the fact that we are all emotional shock absorbers. When wars are going on, we absorb all the angst. We provide people with the confidence. We take the stress away from them. All of those components truly, truly matter. So I think it's helping people understand what we do, how we do it. Across our advisors, we have, I think, nearly half of all our new clients are word-of-mouth referrals. But there's still then the other nearly 0.5% or nearly 50% that is active utilization of social media in terms of finding potential leads. There is an element of the various conferences and events that the guys run, etc. There's a lot of time spent on your feet talking, engaging, meeting people. Because the technical components aren't, some parts of it are complex, but what makes people in this profession so special is their ability to connect with other humans. I'm originally an accountant. I'm a chartered accountant. There are lots of chartered accountants, a lot of actuaries who are very good at numbers and can make numbers do all sorts of amazing things, but might struggle to hold down a conversation with another human. What you guys do matters because you have conversations, you create conversation, you make people feel good about themselves and comfortable in terms of who they are. That is so special. And in today's environment where banks are closing down and doctors who you might have spoken to in days of old or your parents might have spoken to, the clergy, that's becoming more and more difficult. So you and what this profession does is becoming even more rare in the market, and I think we should focus and understand that and understand how we attract more people in. Because one of the key components I think we also need to be mindful of is the demographics in the country are changing in terms of where wealth goes. We all know about the generational effect, and most of us are very alive to the gender effect, that more and more money is in the hands of very successful women. But yet, as a profession, only 18% of advisors are women. The vast majority of advisors are considered to be pale and male. That's a problem. Not saying that men can't be great advisors to women, but it's really important to be able to provide a choice. So last month, or earlier this month, I think, we announced that we've just hit 1,000 female advisors in St. James's Place. And we're delighted by that. But I'm looking forward to that being a much higher number going forward, because I think the opportunity is so real. The average age of our advisor is 46. The average age of the advisor coming out of the academy is 37. From all different races, creeds, backgrounds, we collectively need to represent the society that we operate in. Because I think that's how we become a more inclusive, in the conventional sense of the word, offering and support to people. We connect with more communities and we demonstrate what we can do, and we can help people grow and help people develop.
That's really interesting, and the success you've had as a business through your partners to be able to build their businesses, not just through referrals, but all those other channels is I think, really, really worth just noting. And that average age of 46, you
46,
said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Really different than average for the market. I think there was someone shared statistics earlier that it was 58. I think it was Kathy shared that. So a significant difference. So I think that segues quite nicely to talking about AI, and because we talked about that importance of the human relationship and that connection. We've talked about trust, and there was an event not that long ago where there was, I think, in a single day, a 20% impact on the SJP share price after there was some
We've had a few of those.
model. This one was about, I think, was it called Altruist, the model that was released, and it was thought that would replace financial advisors, and there was sort of ripples and shocks across the market, and of course since it's recovered. But AI companies themselves tell us that AI won't replace the human. But part of me thinks they would say that, wouldn't they? Because they don't want to seem a threat as we adopt them within our businesses. And I'd be interested in hearing about, what is the role of, and it's early days, we don't know, right? But what's the role of AI within businesses? What's the opportunity? Where do you see the threat? And of course, your business, you have financial planning, portfolio management, asset management. You have so many different facets to the business.
Yeah. So I will answer the question, but I'm going to ask for some audience participation. I don't know if there's a way we can turn up the lights in the house so I can see folk at the top. But a quick question of everybody for a show of hands, please. What I'd like to know is that if you believe that technology is going to replace advisors, or do you think technology is going to live better alongside advisors? So for those who believe technology is going to replace advisors, can I have a show of hands, please? Okay, right, we know who you are, thank you. For those whom people believe technology will work alongside advisors, can I have a show of hands, please? Very good. Right, those who put their hands up first, we're going to ask you to join us in a moment, but I'm just joking. Dare I say, I am with the majority of folk. I do believe technology will sit alongside and support and improve the efficacy of advisors. Most technology, most models today, most AI engines are probabilistic. They're inference engines, okay? Most of what you do is going to require a deterministic engine. It's rules-based. You need to be able to trace things back in terms of the rules from the FCA handbook and the different characteristics and perspective of the different investments that you might suggest to your clients. But technology, I think, will be able to help fulfill and ease a lot of the things that act as a drag on your day. And a lot of the admin work, I think, will get simplified. But if I think of the research that we've done, that's indicated that 92% of people say, if I'm going to go down the advice route, I want to have a human that I'm getting advice from. And what we are seeing is actually people using technology, using different AI engines, chatbots, etc., to research some things first, then going into the conversation with their advisor with a little spring of their step because they've got 2 or 3 questions that they wouldn't have had themselves. But I think the job of the advisor there is to help them understand whether they truly understood the question they asked, and definitely did they understand the answer that the kit gave them. Because somebody said to me that a lot of these, whether it's OpenAI or ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, it's a combination of a parrot and a Labrador. It'll repeat back what it hears and what it along the way. And the Labrador is there because it's desperately keen that you like it. So it has a built-in bias towards things that you like or don't like. And if you give it a thumbs up, it'll reinforce that behavior. It's the way the algorithms are built. But I do think that technology will be able to help, will be able to support. But in a world where there's a question about the trust of the underlying data, in a world where actually people are talking to you about their hopes, their fears, their anxieties, their family relationships, it's a brave person to put all of that into an engine. But also what you do is when the proverbial hits the fan, people know that you're there and that you matter. So I think, and the way we are looking at AI is spending a lot of money on actually how we make the kit talk better with one another, how we facilitate the preparation of meetings, the write-up of the meetings. The meeting itself is being recorded, it then gets transcribed, but it's a human-to-human interaction. And that is really, really important. In time, I expect the kit, during the conversation, to be able to prompt the advisor quietly, script-wise, to say, you should ask this question, or you should now tell me to shut up because we've got 2 minutes left to move on to the next question.
Right, probably our final question. This is flown by, but Mark has its results.
Yeah, I've got a meeting with a company called Norge straight after this,
Yeah.
a small little investor.
So thank you for taking the time with us today. Right, what does our industry get wrong, and what is SJP? What are you trying to do differently? Because I think the people in the room could really learn from that perspective.
So a few years ago, the industry went through a massive change and really started to become a lot more of a profession. It's a very young profession. I think we need to do collectively more to make it more attractive to bring people in. I don't think the profession has done enough to actually make it sufficiently attractive for people to come in and play a collective role in that. So I think that's really, really important, because I don't want to end up in the world like Australia, where they have so few advisors. The advisors cherry pick clients based on fun and based on how much they can earn off those clients. The Royal Commissions recognise they've gone too far, but for now, I don't want us to go that far. So that is one thing. Two, and I referenced a little bit early on, making the profession far more representative of the society in which we operate. I think that's a very, very important part. And ultimately, I think, is when we see and when we look at innovation, how do we innovate within the profession? Because innovation, I think, needs to come from within as well as outside. And I'm not sure I've seen a huge amount of innovation from within. And I would really encourage people to be more innovative in terms of what we do, how we do it, how we talk about what we do as well. So I think it's a great profession to be in, a profession that is truly growing, unlike almost any other part of financial services in the UK. It is different in that regard. And advisors are in scarce supply, so demand-supply equation makes price very, very interesting. But the need in society in the UK is so large. We have to get people talking about money. We have to get them understanding it more. We have to get them thinking about investing. We have to get the money from under the mattress and get it working. That's good for them. It's good for you. It's good for the country.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great to see you.